Hey you guys,
Mine's a bit wonky.
it's Monday night and we're back. After all this time, it's Monday night, that means it must be time for
Let's talk about.
Let's Talk About. And we've been all over the globe recently. Well, we went to Ecuador and then we came back. Oh, we went to America too, didn't we?
Not really.
No, we just went to Ecuador. Anyway, every Monday night, I'm Jeremy, this is Kim, and we talk about stuff which is important. And tonight, we're going to talk about...
Some of the nasty ingredients that are in sunscreens.
Which, obviously, we're wearing sunscreen, but it's friendly sunscreen. So anyway, welcome. It's good to have you here. I'm going to roll the music.
Herb.
We didn't really talk about what we were going to sing.
I don't think we should talk about this.
I think we're going to say sunscreen. I missed
You
doing this.
guys sing along, like.
Here we go, you ready? Let's talk about sunscreen.
You can talk about UVA and UVB.
UVB. Let's talk about sunscreen. Let's talk about sunscreen. Sunscreen.
Right. Let's talk about
Sunscreen.
sunscreen.
Okay. Sorry, salt and pepper. You're out of here.
Is your sunscreen damaging coral reefs like the Great Barrier Reef?
Wow, that's a pretty heavy question to ask.
Is it?
Probably.
How would you know if your sunscreen was damaging reefs?
Surely it says it on the packet, doesn't it? Reef
Really?
damaging. Warning, this may damage coral reefs.
So countries like Hawaii and more are moving this way. So Hawaii is actually banning some major ingredients in... I'm sorry, I'm just flat. Like, we were just distracted
There's a
because
bug.
there's like big bugs in here today. That's summer in Australia for you. If only we could show you the big bugs that we have at our house. Anyway, in Hawaii, they are banning ingredients because they are bleaching coral reefs. Okay, so they're actually, you're not allowed to, from January 1st, 2021, you won't be allowed to buy these sunscreens in Hawaii and you won't be able to use them unless, of course, you have a prescription by a doctor.
Okay, and the active ingredient is Oxybenzone, is
Yep.
that's certainly the one which they're banning.
And Octinoxate. I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
Octinoxate.
Octinoxate, okay, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I knew it was Oxybenzone.
So about 6,000 tonnes of sunscreen ends up in the waterways around coral reefs.
Really?
Yeah, every
Wow.
year. 6,000 tonnes of sunscreen.
Wow.
Because everybody puts it on and it washes off.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So,
And the
what's
active ingredients in the sunscreens are actually messing with the DNA of the coral so that they're not able to reproduce. So it's actually killing off, like, you know. Also, the other thing about bleaching is that they need to retain their colour and things like that to be able to do the processes of absorbing the light and all of that kind of stuff. And so they're not able to do that, and that's why they're dying off.
Okay, so sunscreen's a culprit.
Yeah,
Oh,
one of the major culprits. I mean, there's obviously other chemicals and stuff that are responsible for bleaching coral reefs as well, but there's certainly one thing they can do something about and do it quickly is to actually ban sunscreens that contain those ingredients. So when we were in the Galapagos Islands just recently, they were also talking about it there because, you know, obviously lots of people go snorkeling and swimming
Like
around
us.
the Galapagos Islands, and they've got really delicate coral reefs as well, and they're being bleached too. So they're looking at the same kind of thing. And, you know, I wonder whether Australia with the Great Barrier Reef will follow suit. So
Okay, so obviously reef-safe sunscreen is an important thing, but I'm guessing that the chemicals they're not just bad for the reef, are they?
no, so I guess over time, you know, like I remember as a kid, everyone was like slip, slop, slap.
Yeah.
So, and then it was slip, slop, slap, wrap, and, you know, like everything got, that was wrap, like the sunnies and stuff.
Oh,
like,
okay.
So we know the importance of slipping on a shirt, slopping on sunscreen, slapping on a hat. And when I was a kid, the major sunscreens were like SPF 15, and then we got SPF 30, and now we've got SPF 50. SPF is the sun protection factor. So it basically means how long you can go out in the sun for without having to reapply.
Yeah.
And the SPF factor relates to the ingredients that are in it and how long they're actually able to protect you from the sun.
Yep.
Now, the thing is that a lot of sunscreens that are sold in the shops actually contain UVA and UVB, like basically they are blockers, and so they block out the sun. But some of those are rather nasty and they mess with our endocrine system. So one of the main ones is actually called PABA, or para-aminobenzoic acid. Now, over recent years, people have got wise, okay, and they learn to read labels, and so they've actually taken a lot of PABA out of sunscreens, and they've started to use derivatives of those PABAs. It's like the whole thing with MSG and aspartame and, you know, things like that.
Plastics?
They just start renaming it and
Yep.
using derivatives of those particular ingredients. So, you know, we certainly don't want PABAs in our sunscreen. Another thing which is in a lot of anti-aging products, particularly another large MLM has this in a lot of their products. It's called Retinyl Palmitate, okay? And it's actually a mixture of palmitate with vitamin A. But what happens when those two things interact is that it becomes an ingredient that actually feeds skin tumor, like, you know, skin cancers, tumors and lesions on the skin.
Yeah.
And, you know, companies put this ingredient into skin products because it's for firming skin. But who wants to put something on your skin that's going to firm it, but at the same time, it's actually going to
Growing stuff.
cause skin cancers and lesions and that kind of stuff. So the Environmental Working Group, obviously I talk about this all the time, but Skin Deep, their app, but like if you can download onto your phone, it's called Skin Deep Environmental Working Group. You know, look up what they say about Retinyl Palmitate. If you know other people that use anti-aging wrinkle creams from other companies, you might want to get them to check out Retinyl Palmitate and whether it's in it. This other particular company even put it in their baby products, so you know it is a bit alarming to see what they put it in. But even on the PubMed site, there's actually over 1,500 articles about Retinyl Palmitate.
Okay, so that's not a good thing.
No, and the concerns.
I was reading that.
Sorry.
I was reading that the
That's 'cause I was talking too much.
in America, when it comes to sunscreens, there's only actually 2 active ingredients that they certify as safe. All right. So one of those is zinc oxide, which I'm assuming we're going to talk about in a sec. The other is titanium dioxide. Apart from that, they've basically said that none of the other ingredients they have enough information on to deem them safe. So that includes things like Oxybenzone and those things that you were talking about. The interesting thing, I was just reading about Oxybenzone, and there's a lot of concerns about that because it's absorbed quite a lot through the skin. And obviously there's links to hormone disruption, so we're talking about that, possible xenoestrogen, and obviously it's bleaching the reef. So, you know, there's a lot of concerns about these stuff. One of the arguments though is people say, because when they test them, they actually find that mineral sunscreens, which is what we're going to be talking about, are not quite as effective as these, you know, chemical sunscreens. So people, you know, it's one of those weird things. It's like, so do you put on the thing which could be causing cancer and causing, you know, all kinds of estrogen problems, hormone problems, to save yourself from getting skin cancer? Or what? Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like it's this kind of crazy thing. So yeah. Anyway.
I mean, you mentioned endocrine disruptors. There's a lot of other endocrine disruptors in mainstream.
Well, even the fragrances.
Well, the fragrances, the synthetic colours, a lot of them contain parabens and phthalates. They contain other petrochemicals, you know, like a lot of synthetic ingredients in them. I mean, like I see mums spraying this sunscreen on their children, which is coloured, and like, I'm like, well, how do you think they get the colour? And the colour is rather toxic, and even that smell that they all have are rather toxic as well. So, the other thing I guess that's concerning to me that's in most sunscreens is nanoparticles. Okay, now you'll notice that we've put the sunscreen on today, and we've put it on rather thick so that you can see how it's applied, but really, you can still see our sunscreen even when you've applied it and rubbed it in. And the reason for that is because it doesn't contain the nanoparticles. A lot of sunscreen manufacturers have included zinc oxide in a nanoparticle formula so that it rubs in and you can't see it when you apply it. But the thing is, with nanoparticles, there hasn't been enough research done on the effects of nanoparticles, and they're actually so small that 100,000 of them can fit, like you probably can't see my one single hair that I'm pulling on, but 100,000 of them can fit across the width of one hair, okay? So they are that small that they can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. We have a sieve, if you like, that sits around our brain that stops nasty chemicals and things like that being able to get into our brain and affect us. However, these nanoparticles can actually cross that. And, you know, they're having to do more research as to the actual effects that those nanoparticles are having on our brains and by getting into our bloodstream and all that kind of stuff. And they can actually get into our cells. So I'd rather than wait and, you know, go, oh, gee, I shouldn't have used all those nanoparticles.
10 years later, we actually discovered they were really bad
for you. Yeah. So rather than that, I'd just rather avoid them now. Yeah. And so I don't use sunscreens that contain nanoparticles. The other thing is that some sunscreens contain an ingredient called 1,4-dioxane. Now, you won't find that on, you know, sunscreen labels. You won't find it on cosmetic ingredients. However, the Environmental Working Group actually estimate that it's in 22% of their 25,000 plus cosmetics that are listed on their site. So that's a hell of a lot of products.
What does it do?
Well, the thing is that it's not an ingredient that they add. They don't get 1,4-dioxane and put it into sunscreens or put it into cosmetics. It happens when a number of different chemical ingredients mix together. Okay, so a number of different ingredients. So things like sodium laureth sulfate, when that mixes with PEGs, so if you've got ingredients that have PEGs and sodium laureth sulfate and they mix together, or Xynol, Cetearth and Oleth, any of those, we can put them in the notes, but basically if those ingredients mix together, then you're looking at 1,4-dioxane, and that's a nasty ingredient. It's actually a carcinogenic ingredient, so you don't want that in your sunscreens.
Yeah, wow. So give me the good news, because that's seriously depressing when you think of people just doing the right thing, because that's what we're talking about, isn't it? We had slip, slop, slap, everyone's gone, yes, we must use sunscreen. Let's get the best sunscreen we can. It's got the biggest SPF number, so let's use that. That's got to be the best thing for our kids, especially, isn't it? But,
so instead, I use the Young Living Mineral Sunscreen. So I guess in terms of why I use it, so there's no Oxybenzone or Retinyl Palmitate or synthetic colours, synthetic fragrances, 1,4-dioxane, all of those nasty ingredients that we've just spent 10 minutes
scaring the crap out
going
of you.
through. They're not in there, okay? Yeah. They're absolutely not in there. This sunscreen is 50 plus, so it's got the broad spectrum SPF for both UVA and UVB. It's actually been tested for sensitive skin and hypoallergenic, dermatologist tested. It's reef safe, so it's not damaging the coral reefs like I talked about before. No nanoparticles. Made from plant and minerals, so obviously the mineral, the zinc oxide, but also plant ingredients. It contains essential oils.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the list here: helichrysum, lavender, myrrh, cistus, ylang ylang, carrot seed, and frankincense. That's a pretty good bunch of essential oils, man. Yep,
similar to the Clariderm that I've used for years.
Absolutely. So it's doing your skin good while you're putting it on. Okay.
It's actually water and sweat resistant for up to 80 minutes. So you do need to reapply it. Now it is rather thick, but you know that's because it's actually working. I have seen a few hacks, and if you want to message me, I can send you the hack for turning it into a spray. Because some of you are concerned that it's a little bit too thick, but you know, we put on the girls. We went to the beach yesterday and put on the girls, and we were probably in the water for over an hour, and and they were fine. We didn't have to reapply. You know, I did put it on them quite thick. In winter,
Can I just stop for a sec? Like, it's just a weird idea that if, you know, that people go, oh yeah, it's a little bit thick, yeah, well, I can't see what the problem is with that. It's this idea that the ideal sunscreen should be transparent so you can't see it. Like, what? Yeah.
It is actually really good to put underneath your Savvy Mineral makeup as well. Like, or you can even mix it with some foundation and use it as a tinted sunscreen, tinted moisturizer. And there was something else I was going to say, but
sorry, I interrupted.
I don't know, but I find that it smooths on skin fairly well.
Yeah.
So
I guess my point was, like, who cares if it's a little bit thick? Like, if it's doing the job, then that's the whole point. I mean, heavens, Australian cricketers, they never go, oh, it's looking a bit thick.
This product is actually is on the TGA approved claims website. So the things that are approved claims are that it may assist in preventing some some skin cancers. Sorry, I'm still recovering from jet lag. May reduce the risk of some skin cancers. It offers SPF 50 broad spectrum high protection sunscreen, can aid in the prevention of premature skin aging, and we all want that, don't we, girls? May aid in the prevention of solar keratosis, can aid in the prevention of sunspots. As always, you've got to wear protective clothing, hats and eyewear, so the whole slip, slop, slap message, there's no use just putting this on alone, and avoid prolonged exposure in the sun.
That's the other point which is important. SPF, the number, affects the amount of time that you can stay in the sun. It's like a multiple. So if you're someone like me and I can go out in the sun maybe for about 2 or 3 minutes, literally, that's when the sun starts burning me, then SPF 50 means I should be able to go out in the sun for 50 times that 2 minutes or whatever. But you got to keep reapplying it. You got to be sensible.
And even apply it before you go out in the sun. So I tend to like to put it on before we leave home. So like 15 minutes before we leave home. And then drive to the beach, because we're only like 10, 15 minutes from the beach. We drive to the beach and then we can go swimming. So. Anyway, this month you can actually, if you're on Essential Rewards and you place a Essential Rewards order of over 250 PV, you can actually get this for free. Otherwise, you know, jump online, order some mineral sunscreen. We'll put the link, if you're not already a member, we'll put it in the comments. Otherwise, you know, if you're a member, you know how to get it.
The thing is, like, you can probably buy cheaper sunscreen, but I don't think you can buy better sunscreen, if that makes sense. What
cost can you put on your health? You've got to start ditching these nasty chemicals and start, you know, swapping for better products.
That's a no-brainer.
All right, that's it.
It's so nice to be back. If you've got any comments, anything that you want to say, any questions you want to ask, anything that you think we should be talking about next week, we're always open to your suggestions. Put them in the comments below. We'll look forward to that.
All right, bye guys.
We'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
See ya.